Angel, so this week we find you in Liverpool. You're there with Fraser Clark, who's got his third pro fight against a 7-0 opponent. By the time we play this, Fraser he'll have probably been in the ring already. So just tell us what you hope that we will have seen by the time everybody hears this.
Obviously, a good win from Fraser. Last time, obviously, he was a bit cautious with the injury in the hand. He's fit, he's ready, and he's looking forward to put on a good performance.
After what was a successful but long amateur career, he did box a reasonable amount of WSB, which is a good kind of pathway into the pros. Although that competition finished a little while ago now, but it is still a big adjustment, isn't it? Because maybe it's not quite as different as it used to be since they went to the 10-point must, but it's still different.
Obviously, there is like some differences in there. I think he's adapting really well. And the best of him is yet to come because he's learning every day in the gym. He just needs to take things slowly. I know a lot of people kind of like look at him, at the age, but the true reality is he's still a young heavyweight, and again, just like keep learning, keep working hard, and the improvements, hopefully, we will start to get to see him, like more comfortable in the pro game, maybe like from 6-7 fight.
Always been a kind of old head on young shoulders. It's not that easy to progress young heavyweights because the opponents aren't necessarily out there for them. The last time we spoke to you on talkSPORT was the night before the fight in Saudi. You and Robert Garcia were good enough to come down to the studio and join us at the Hilton. A couple of weeks have passed now. A lot's been said, a lot's been written. A lot of it about what Anthony got up to in the ring after the decision, and maybe not enough quite about the fight itself and what actually happened. Now that the dust has settled, how do you look back on the fight, on how it actually played out?
Obviously, the result didn't go the way that we were hoping it was going to go. But at the end of the day, like by round 9, if at the end of round 9 that fight would have stopped, we would have won the fight on point. So we lost the fight in reality by 3 rounds. But there is pressure on the man, low pressure. Camp as well, just remember, like, he has been, from a loss, and he lost the titles, but people are still talking about Anthony Joshua. That is not so much on Usyk. The thing is, a lot of people talk about what he has done, after that fight, and I think for me it's just like a lot of emotion, and some of the stuff and the things that he said, it's actually true, and regardless if whatever AJ does, good or bad, people are gonna judge him. So it's just kind of like one of these things that you have to, just get on with it.
I think as for what happened at the end, it'll always be difficult for him to explain it because I'm not sure if he'll ever be in a position where he can really explain exactly where he was in his headspace at that point. And I think allowances do have to be made because you've just been fighting for 12 rounds. You've been hit around the head. You're dehydrated. You're emotional. You're very, very disappointed. Yeah. And I think most people kind of understand that. And I thought Usyk handled it really well because he's got that empathy as a fighter. I think he was looking at him and thinking, okay, well, you might regret this, but I'm just gonna let you do it. A little bit unfortunate. But as for the fight, when we spoke to you on the Friday night, you were very. I came away convinced. Yeah. And during the course of the week, I was more and more convinced as we got to the fight that he would leave the ring, Anthony, whatever happened, completely happy that he'd done. Never going to be completely happy if you've lost, but knowing that he'd done everything that he could possibly have done. And as trainers, that's what you want as well. Was that your feeling afterwards, that obviously you want to win, but that you did what you wanted to do?
We're talking about like performance and the improvements, obviously the improvements and he was there. I think he fought well, he gave his all, but on my side, and obviously Robert's side as well, there is always more to come. That was kind of like the sensation, at the end of the fight. Obviously, we assessing it, and the true reality, we lost the fight on like 3 rounds. So we have to see these things. We have to see kind of like in the middle rounds where the round could go either to AJ, either to Usyk. It's down to kind of like people, kind of like a perception of that particular round. But I think there is more to come from AJ, and as we said, we watched the fight on that night straight away. When we went back to the hotel, we went to the tour floor and we watched the fight, and the sensation is, yes, he gave you his all, but I know he can do more, and he's definitely more to come.
Did he watch it with you, or was that just you and Robert?
Just like myself, Robert, and AJ.
Interesting. Do you think enough credit has gone to Usyk? Because people in the UK will inevitably talk about Anthony, and obviously his fights are a massive thing, and people get pulled into it and get interested in it who maybe aren't plugged into boxing 24/7. But what really impressed us at ringside was that after that 9th round, where he brought a lot of heat to Usyk's door, Usyk was then able to provide the answer, and not many people can do that. Just so when they really, it reminded me of Terence Crawford against Sean Porter. When he really needed to, when he was told to, he did it.
Honestly, after that end of round 9, AJ came in and I said, listen, you see that man over there, he is hurt. He's ready to go. Just like press him, go on top of him. But it's how the way he come out, Usyk, on that 10th round is, you have to give him a lot of credit, because a normal fighter, he will go out on that round 10, just like survival. Let me survive the round 10 and let me come back strong, maybe for 11 and 12. But he actually just like took the center of the ring, and he went to fight. He had, when it comes to these rounds, you have to have something deep in yourself. You just not just fighting for the belts. You just not just fighting for the heavyweight, just to become, you're fighting for something else. And I think he had something deep inside, and he shone on that round 10.
How did you feel the relationship worked with yourself and Robert throughout camp and then on the night? Because it is quite unusual to have kind of to have co-trainers.
The relationship has been very great, as I said, like Andy, it's very important to have that communication, from day one. I asked him what he thinks, I said what I think in terms of like this fight, how do we approach the training, how, what we do each day, always conversations, me and him, watching the sparring with AJ, this is what we have to do in the next sparring, so it was a lot kind of like communication, a lot of talk. I love to work with him. And even AJ as well, he kind of like, he felt good with the team, but the true reality, you cannot take away like the fact that we all are a new team, and I'm sure better things are yet to come, from all of us.
That's going to continue. That's going to be the team that goes forward with him, because we don't know what is next for him. Obviously, some quotes were attributed to Robert earlier in the week, which he says have been kind of lost in translation slightly. But I mean, has there been any communication on that front?
I had like a chat, like the whole team last week, just putting new dates, for Anthony to fight. I spoke to AJ, a long time actually when I was in Spain with my parents, and there were some honest truths. You have to be honest in this game. You can't lie to yourself. It seems that the team stay together. I know there is a lot of critics into the team, because regardless of, at the end of the day, it's a loss. And, there is no anyone in the world more disappointed that myself and Robert, because people don't understand the effort, like the months that we have been day in, day out in Loughborough, the day-to-day, the 5 weeks that we have done in Saudi, like leave the hotel at like midnight, 12:30 at night time, just to adapt to the time. So there's been a lot effort, like mentally, physical, from all of us, and we were hoping to get a result. Very, very, very bad, and the team was very confident as well. But at the end of the day, we had a great fight in front of us, and we have to give him a hell of a lot of credit, because if you tell me another heavyweight on that night, I think AJ would be anybody in the top three on that particular night. But that Usyk is the pace that he goes round after round. In reality, he is a cruiserweight. I know people talk stamina and this and that, or he needs to work on the fitness. I could go into detail, like in terms of like the runs that he did, like the intervals on the bags, the sparring, the intensity, all of that. He actually felt the gas. But at the end of the day, a fight is a fight. It's a completely totally different story from the training. So I just want to say, like, I could go into detail, as I said, but I have to give credit to Usyk and his whole team, because hell of a fight it is.
Can he beat Fury, do you think?
It will give Fury trouble. A lot of people are saying, you know what, I think Usyk fancies this, but I think it's one of the things where, Fury somehow, he'll find a way. He's too big, he's too tall, too rangy. And personally, I don't see it beating Fury. But that's why it makes this division so interesting. And, just rebuild Anthony, and then, hopefully we get to fight Tyson Fury. And God knows, we might end up fighting Usyk for a third time.
Can never rule anything out. I won't keep you for much longer. In terms of what's next for him, the last 10 fights he's had, however many since Charles Martin, when you win a world title, somebody kind of put it well to me once, when you win a world title, you reach that kind of level in whatever it is you're doing, you go up through a bottleneck and you can never really go back down it. That's where you are then. And he's had all these high pressure fights in a row. And the next one will be high pressure too. Maybe the highest pressure of the lot, because he'll be coming into it off the back of 2 defeats. I'm not asking you to name names, but he needs a suitable opponent, doesn't he? I'm not saying it needs to be an easy knockover job, because I'm not sure if kind of that would be tolerated, but he obviously has to win, but you know what I'm saying? Not a gimme, but it doesn't need to be like, a fight the level of which he's had the last couple against Usyk, for example.
Nah, definitely no. Obviously, it's like, I think we're just waiting for the names, from the team. We're gonna have another day sit down, but it has to be someone within the top 10. Is rebuild. It has to, like there is a lot learning still, to do in the gym. Game 2-3 fights, see how all these fights between Fury, Usyk, and whoever is up there, plays out, and then let's see where we are, maybe by the end of next year.
I mean, there's all sorts going on, isn't there? Andy Ruiz against Luis Ortiz is this weekend. Joyce against Parker, Wilder against Helenius, and those 3 fights kind of tie up quite a lot of good candidates. Is your feeling that he might fight again this year? I know they kind of hope to, but logistically, I just wonder whether that will work.
Obviously, yeah. They're looking at kind of like end of December, another fight. He, obviously it's disappointing, but if you tell me like mentally, obviously he's sad, but he's probably the best I have seen him after the loss. The sensation in the team is we could have done more, and all we have to do is just like look at the things that we could have done better and make it better next time. We wish that we could have do like any other sport like football. You get the next weekend just to kind of like adjust things, but boxing is unfortunately is on that night there is one winner and one loser. And all we have to do is just like make the next camp better and make them adjustments, so from when that challenge comes up again, next time, hopefully we won't come short.